Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. As the American Civil War raged on, the use of black soldiers would become a defining difference between the Union Army and the Confederates. One of these African-American soldiers would go down in history as a man who risked his life not just for his personal freedom, but for his country's preservation as well. He was a Christian and a proud patriot whose courage contributed to the Union victory. As a hero from the 54th Massachusetts Volunteers, William Harvey Carney. Now, thanks to his role in the Union attack at Fort Wagner in 1863, Carney would become the first African-American ever to be awarded the Medal of Honor, and that's in the history of the nation. Carney was born as a slave in Norfolk, Virginia in 1840, where as a boy, he defied the common stereotype of the slave community by learning to read and write. During his adolescence, he escaped to freedom in Massachusetts with his father, likely through the famed Underground Railroad. Now, as a free man, William Carney pursued the pastoral calling at the tender age of 15. Imagine that. But when it became clear that the nation was barreling down a one-way path to war, Carney enlisted in the United States Army. When asked later about his decision to go to war against the rebels, he once said this, quote, "When the country called for all persons, I could best serve my God serving my country and my oppressed brothers. The sequel, in short, I enlisted for the war." So the pastor-turned-soldier joined the 54th Colored Massachusetts at age 23, and he was on the front lines of the Battle of Fort Wagner in July of 1863 in South Carolina. Under heavy fire, the 54th Massachusetts led the attack and suffered heavy casualties, losing almost half of its 600 men. In the heat of battle, Carney noticed the American flag in the hands of a mortally wounded flag bearer who was falling to the ground. As the flag bearer fell, Old Glory fell with him, and Carney rushed over to catch the flag before it hit the ground. He then made a furious charge back to his men, where he was shot 3 times, but somehow made it back alive. Upon his return, he said proudly to his men, "Boys, the old flag never touched the ground." After the Union victory, Carney survived his wounds from the war and was hailed as a hero. 35 years later, at the start of the 20th century, Carney was given the Medal of Honor for bravery in the war, becoming the first black recipient in American history. And upon reception of the medal, Carney said this humbly, "I only did my duty." William Harvey Carney died in December of 1908. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History.